What is going on, guys? It's been a while. Took a little break, but we're here back to talk about Arcade1UP. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here in the chat. I guess this has become like an after show or so, whatever. So I want to talk about a little bit about this cabinet now. I've been looking at it, and if you compare the video that was just shown from Arcade1UP's website, there is a difference between the Star Wars arcade cabinet, and I want to talk about that because there's renders, and then there's the video that we showed that was from John's area. You know, that video. Really, the Star Wars arcade cabinet, it's the same as before. Like, although the renders look a little bit different, it's the same as before, but the artwork is the key thing that has been updated, and the coin door. I want to make sure, at least for my audience, that is very clear, that you're not getting anything different. But there's other clarities that we want to get. My man, Travis, what's going on, man?
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm glad you agreed to do this. I was thinking about it because I was told a little bit earlier that you were going to become the official Arcade1UP ambassador, and I thought, man, I'm jealous. Like, well, seriously, why did you get that job? Okay, I should have got that job. Like, hit a one in the chat. If you think Justin should have got that job.
I don't want that job. So let's be very clear. That was originally offered to me, and I rejected it. I didn't want to be I'm not the ambassador. I want to be very clear about that. I actually talked to John a lot about this, and we went back and forth on what this thing was going to be. And I was like, I want to be a member of the community asking you guys questions, and I don't want to be tied down to the answers. In other words, I don't want you paying me something so that I have to softball you a question.
There you go.
So I want to be very clear. I'm going to be clear on the first episode. There is no attachment between myself and Arcade1UP. I am asking the questions that literally people in the chat are asking, and they will mostly be answered. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna go in. I've already asked some of the questions, so some of the answers I know, and then some of the ones I'm still waiting to get answers back on. But all the questions that y'all want to know, the ones about MVC2 Online, about free MK4, all that stuff, I'm going to ask them, and we're gonna get some sort of answer. And if I see BS, I'm gonna call BS. Because again, I'm not an Arcade1UP employee. I specifically did not want that. And the other thing is, I saw some sentiment about, well, why don't you get someone from the community? This is literally the reason why, because I have no skin in the game. I've been around arcades all my life, so I have that knowledge. If I had an arcade YouTube channel, then I have a lot of things to gain depending on what kind of things I ask and get. I have nothing to gain here other than the truth. That's the only thing I care about. And John and I have gone back and forth for a better part of a year about the only thing I care about is the truth. I don't care if you guys like me or what. I don't care. I want the truth. And the community deserves the truth. There have been times when there have been, I'll tell you a story for me. The lack of communication from Arcade1UP previously has affected me directly. So any of you remember when MVC1 first came out and then it sold out? And same thing with X-Men versus Street Fighter. And you couldn't find it anywhere. I was on the Facebook pages for a long time waiting to hear when they were going to restock it. When are they going to restock this? They never said. So I overpaid on eBay thinking they were never going to bring it back out. 2 weeks later, it came out. All Arcade1UP ever had to do was say, it's coming out. They never did. So it was stuff like that that kind of upset me. And I'm like, you guys can't get away with this anymore. Let's do this right. Let's be more transparent. And John was like, yeah, let's do it. So some things are going to be answered very clearly. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm asking all the questions, Justin. I'm asking all the questions.
Yeah, so there's some people in the chat that are asking some questions, and I think because I was behind the scenes of the show. My part in that 1UP show is pressing buttons in a software called StreamYard because I have a lot of experience doing it. And so they asked me to do that, and I'm in a similar pickle where I'm like, well, I don't necessarily want to work for you guys, but I definitely want you guys to communicate more, and you have no clue how to do that. So I guess I'll help out. But there are some people in the chat, and because we knew this information a little ahead of time, I want to try to be as transparent with the information that I know. That show, there was one or two things that was discussed to be included in there, but I don't think they you know, a lot of the show, you know, there was an outline and then kind of off the cuff. So there's people in the chat. So this thing is available now. The one thing clear I want to make, there's people talking about only 93 left, and this is what was stated in right before the call, before the live show happened. There is more than 93. So it is something to do with the guy who's running the website. He put up, there's the first run. I don't know. They shipped 308, I think is what it is. Is that right? They shipped 308.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a set of them that will move in 2 days or something.
Right.
And then there's another set that will move in February, right? That's when they'll ship.
Yes.
And that's just exactly like based on they ordered them and some got in this container, I don't know, and some got into another container. And this is Arcade1UP. They are trying to be more transparent.
Yeah.
And there's some in the chat that are saying, so I'm going to pay $150 more for a coin door. Yeah, that's the deal. Like Best Buy had this last week, I've been following it. Mm-hmm. The original 2019 version, there's like, still some in warehouses, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, and then John even mentioned on the show, there's another set of a couple hundred of the original 2019 versions that are in a warehouse that they plan on moving.
Yes. Later this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple months.
But what we do know, which haven't really heard before, they made 3,500 brand new units in the last couple weeks, like before China shut down, right, for Chinese New Year. Before that, they shipped this version, which is a 2022-2023 version called the 40th anniversary version, and it's 40th anniversary because this original cabinet came out in 1983. It's 2023. Now, I had access to this artwork a couple days ago, and I did a comparison. And if you look at the original machine, this one is closer to the original, where it has these little banding parts at the bottom are like the similar. And I think this is the first time where they made it where the artwork kind of blends right into the cabinet. Mm-hmm. Now, initially when I saw this, I'm like, why not deluxe?
Right.
Why isn't this the deluxe? Why isn't this really an upgrade?
John just texted us and reminded us $1,500 for the EU. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, they didn't mention that. So he was too focused on talking about how there's free shipping if you're in the contiguous US and Canada or something like that. But they are going to do 1,500 units in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that as well.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. What also wasn't mentioned was there was this is the last time I understand. I think this is the last time they're going to do Star Wars in this format. This
100%. Now let's use the right wording here, because again, I'm all about transparency. And again, I understand that some people won't know or trust me or don't know who I am and stuff, and that's fine. I know that the work between now and the future it's going to speak for itself. The wording that was used was, this is the last Riser Star Wars we're going to see. It doesn't mean this is the last Star Wars we're going to see. There are no more coming. There are no more manufactured, and there are no more currently planned. All those statements are true. Could that change in 6 months when they realize that they sold out of these in 2 weeks? Yes, it absolutely could. If a bunch of people buy this very quickly, it would be dumb for them not to just put out another one in the Deluxe or Pro. So is this the last one we'll ever see? Don't know. But of the last of the Riser, yes. Is this really legitimately a limited thing? Are they going to do a second batch of this? No. Those are answers that are 100% from John D. and from the information we have from Arcade1UP. It's 100%.
Yeah. So I think you have 4 options on the top of my head that I can think of. 1, don't do anything, obviously.
Right.
Like don't buy, don't do anything.
Sure.
The next option is, if you're interested in this particular version, this exact version that has the artwork this way. Now, I asked questions, and in the show, I don't think it was clear. It wasn't talked about. You're not going to have a show and say like what the cab doesn't have. I just don't think that became a highlight. But one thing that I asked that I got answers on. So is this push button? If you push these coin buttons, what happens? Nothing. It's
Nothing.
light up only. So this is the first time they've ever done it with an arcade cabinet with a coin door that's lit, but you don't press the buttons for insert coins. So this particular model, available right now at arcade1up.com for $5.99, has a lit coin door built in, but it's not push button to start. The artwork is different if you compare it to the previous version. That's about it. You're getting the same cab otherwise. Now, the marquee, the one that John has in his office, is the same marquee style that's in the previous one that was released from 2019, but his particular version seems to be clean from any wire hanging in the back. But that does, I don't know if that means that, someone buys this one and that the wire hangs on that version. I don't know. All we know is the version that John has a marquee that doesn't have a wire hanging. For those that don't know, the original 2019 version that came out of the Star Wars, some people complained that you could kind of see a wire hanging in the marquee. So is this the new marquee style? No. It's the same style as the 2019 version. Right. Basically, what I was told was they had an opportunity to have a manufacturer to make a set of 3,500 units of something, and they could have picked PacMan, they could have picked Dig Dug, they could have picked something else. And they said, what if we do Star Wars again and make it so all those eBayers out there that are selling these things for like $1,500, we'll sell it for $5.99. And the math was, we can do 3,500, and that'll be the last time we do a riser. Mm-hmm. So the next option is, do you wait? You could totally wait.
But you know what, Justin? Finally, you have the data behind it to know if you can wait. Previously, it's like limited supply. Well, what the hell does that mean? No one knew. Now we know. 3,500. If you want to wait, feel free. But if you don't get it, then at least you knew, going into it.
Right. So the idea is, if you were to wait on the cabinet, let's say you want one because you didn't have one, or maybe you have one and you want to upgrade. Yeah. Personally, I don't feel like that. Like, I have the original, and I don't have the urgency to be like, I'm going to pay $5.99 for exactly the same cabinet that I have already, but I get different artwork, and I get a light up coin door. Yeah. For me, that's not enough to upgrade.
100%.
Now, if they came out with an XL later, now we're having a different conversation. An XL Star Wars would be a different conversation.
Douglas says something that I really want to address. You are 100% right, Douglas. And let me explain that's why I'm actually doing this show. I don't really care if Arcade1Up looks better after doing the show. I just want the truth. I don't care how it makes Arcade1Up look. I really don't. And I have no skin in the game, which is the whole point of this. I don't make any extra money. I don't get nothing. I'm just doing it because I like the community. I've actually been kind of this shadow member of the community, doing things for creators.
Let's talk about that. Like, what have you, I'm going to say it really mean. Travis, why are you the ambassador? What gives you the right to take that position? I mean, I have a channel that has over like 400 live streams, right? I know the community in and out.
Yeah.
Give us your credibility.
Well, first of all, I didn't ask for this. I was asked. And again, the thing that was originally pitched to me, I didn't want. I don't want to be an ambassador. I don't want to be, I don't want any of that. I don't care about that. I only care about answers. Some of this I'm doing selfishly because I want to know the answers.
I see.
Like, I legitimately want to know the answers. There's questions like about the deluxe cab series and stuff that I'm going to ask because I want to know. But I also happen to know the community wants to know. And again, in my mind, it makes more sense for someone who's outside of the community, even though, I mean, listen, I watch a lot of live streams. It's not like I don't know what's going on in the community. I 100% do. Like,
right.
I've been a part of this community for well over a year before people knew about it. I've been subsidizing people within the community, and most people don't know it. Like, I've bought people in the community, I think 4 different cabs. I bought people, different creators and stuff in the community. People don't even know about this because I like the community. I like what's going on here. So I do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, helping people out and doing things because I like it. So when the opportunity to ask these questions and do it in a way that I feel like we're going to get actual answers for came up, I'm like, yes, because I feel like Arcade1Up takes it on the chin when they should. They absolutely should eat one for the MVC2 online thing. It's not good, blah, blah, blah. But I now want to know, okay, so now what are you going to do? And why did it get to this point? Those are the questions I want to ask, because the community deserves to know that. So for me, that's what. Now, could someone else do that? Sure. But I was asked. So that's literally all it is.
Now, I know you're part of the beta program. So how long have you been doing that? Let's talk about that.
I've been doing the beta program for, Arcade1UP stock is sold out. Still available on Shop Hippo.
Now, hold on. This is what we talked about before. That means their very first sellout means that those are all the units that ship within a couple days. If you order at this point, you're getting items that ship in February. And then I think John said the Shop Hippo units also
weeks or something.
Yeah. So they're not sold out. It says sold out, but it's not sold out. I think it's going to kick into the new thing where it's it's sold out. So there's this guy that works at Arcade1UP, and he's going to hit refresh, and it'll say something like, there's more stock available, but these units ship in February.
Right.
And it's just all has to do with like the shipping and, how many are in a single container.
If you wanted it to ship this week, that is gone.
That's gone.
Put it that way.
Let's talk about beta in just a second. Yeah. So side by side, this is the difference. Hey, this worked out pretty good. So I grabbed an old image. Now I'm going to tell you right up front, because if you look at these side by side, Arcade1UP messed up. Do you see it?
I mean, I see the blue outline. I didn't really recognize that before.
Okay, so let me show you the difference between these cabinets. Yeah. But then definitely the render is wrong. So let's make it clear. Like if you're wanting to go buy this cabinet because you're looking at the render, the thing that you need to trust is on that 1UP show, there was a video that's from John's office.
Yeah.
That's the cab you're buying, to my knowledge, because that's a physical machine that we saw, like a real machine. This is Photoshop. This is CGI 3D modeling by ThinkUp.
Yeah.
And I think Arcade1UP made a mistake on this, because the shape of the unit that John has in his office is this on the right-hand side.
Yes.
And let me show you the difference. You see how this comes down further?
Yep.
That's what the video looks like.
Yeah.
And you see how this screen is slanted at this angle? That's the one you're buying. I think that's the one you're buying, because that's what John has. But the one that John has does not have blue T-molding, and it has this artwork, and it has a light-up coin door.
Yeah.
So for some reason, the Arcade1UP website, this shape, you see how it looks kind of smaller over here?
Yeah, it's weird, because it's like a big,
That's I don't know why the renders are like that, but the render is different on the website than if you compare the video.
We've seen this before. That what was it? Killer Instinct was backwards on the original. Remember when they posted it on the Arcade1UP.com, and the kick plate was like Killer Instinct, but it was backwards. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That stuff happens. Yeah.
And the other thing that's really weird about it, this render makes it look like the screen is slanted and flows right up in here. That's what it looks like. There's like an illusion or something, or it's intentional, I'm not sure. But that's not the version that John has in his office. It looks just like this. So that's why I said at the very beginning of the show, to me, if you're ordering this $599 version, you're getting exactly the same unit from 2019, except the artwork has changed and it has a lit coin door.
Yep.
That's it. Let me make that very clear. Yep. Even though the for some reason the renders look different, it's basically the same machine with new artwork. Yeah. And yes, this one on the right, which is their 2019 version, has been seen available at Best Buy for $459.
Yep.
That's essentially old stock. That's still available for some reason. I had a guy, he emailed me recently that said he got this 2019 version from Best Buy for $450 weeks ago.
Yeah.
For some reason, they had them in stock.
Yeah.
And did you catch this one? There was a UK
I don't know
distributor.
Who it is. I'll see if John texts us back, but it is. They are on their way over there. They should be distributed. So I don't know who's the normal UK distributors. I don't know.
I remember. I think it was said. What I think he mentioned it, but he failed to. I think he totally forgot to mention the UK distributor on the show.
Yeah.
Ezekiel, the Chicago Retro Ranger says, "Hi, Justin and Travis. Can you put a side? Yeah, side by side. Yeah, 2019. So that is, I see the
Yes.
difference in the monitor position slant. Don't expect there to be any slant. I hope they update the site because I think this is the thing they messed up on. And I only saw this. I showed this picture to a friend of mine right before that 1UP show, and he was like, "What's up with the monitor slant?" I was like,
"Oh crap!
Yeah, that's not a thing.
That's not right."
Because the John video from his office is not a slant.
I mean, you can see it if you just go back to the show. I have it up on another screen, and you can see it's essentially the older one. It doesn't have the blue T-molding. It doesn't look like, but yeah. Everything, it's the same.
So that part is accurate, right? How it doesn't have the T-molding. Let me pull that up real quick. Now, why don't you talk about the beta program, what you do in the beta program, what qualifies that for you to be a spokesperson for Arcade1UP?
It doesn't.
I need to why David McIntosh picked you over other content creators. I'll never know.
I'm glad that you're bringing this all up because most of the things you're saying are not true. So I'm in the beta program. Yes. I've never met or talked to David McIntosh. So let's start there. Not talk to him yet.
He likes you though, evidently.
I don't know that he does. I honestly don't know that he does. I don't know that he knows who I am. But let's start with the beta program. So the beta program exists. If you haven't been paying attention to like the Blitz updates, I mean, obviously I was on this show once to talk about, what was it? KI's spec. I think I did the KI spectate with you. I did the Blitz announcements for both the beta for when the Blitz multiplayer came out. I went on, I can't remember whose show. It was Moat's show. And then I was on Michael B's show when 99 and 2K were about to come out, and I announced that those were coming out. So I think those things, which I was asked to do some of that, right? Like I was in the beta program. They knew I was a YouTuber. They're like, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Sure." From there, I don't know. Listen, I don't know. And at some point, I understand the confusion. Like there's these YouTubers. This is actually better, I believe, for the community to not have like you or someone else, because then you're a shill. Then nothing you say on your YouTube channel means anything because you work with the. So to be perfectly honest, this is actually better for someone outside of the community. Some people won't agree, but if you're a YouTuber and you've seen how many times you've been called a shill, trust me when I tell you this is better for you guys.
Well, I can say I've been called shield many times, but it's really hard to call the phone guy a shill. I'm referring to Travis has a very large channel where it's a tech channel. He's in the tech industry, and he has something that I don't have, and that is a YouTube plaque. One thing that I'll never have unless
you'll get it. Justin, settle down over there.
We'll see. So that definitely makes you more qualified. Not that I'm bitter. I am teasing you, of course, because there was a discussion about the ambassador program, and I just couldn't do it. It wasn't necessarily offered to me, but I discussed it not being a thing that I would be able to do.
It's silly because there's people out there that just love to hate. And to be honest, like I can take it because I don't care. Like whatever, call me whatever. I don't really care. I'm here for facts. I don't care about the rest. If you don't like me, it doesn't matter because I don't have a home arcade YouTube channel. So that's good. It's a good thing. That actually should make you happy. It means the questions I'm going to ask are real questions. They're not paying me. They're not giving me cabs. They're not doing any of those things. I told them I don't want that so that you can't question my questions. You know what I mean? Like this is a pretty much win for the community. And I think the show will prove itself out. And if some people don't like it, I'm sorry, but you're still going to get the answers. I'm still going to ask the questions for you. Yeah. There's people out there right now that want to know about MVC2 Online. I'm going to ask, and I'm going to do it whether you like me or not. I'm still going to try to get the answer for you. You don't have to like me. I don't care.
And I'll try to be transparent with the audience here. You know, I've taken a break for, last couple of weeks or so. I haven't done a show or anything like I regularly do. And then Travis was said to be this community ambassador. And what I thought was, hey, I have a channel that is dedicated to Arcade1UP, and people don't know who this guy is. And I can either help him out or not. And I wanted to be like, screw you, Travis, do your own thing. I want nothing to do with you, rotten hell. But I'm a nice guy. And I thought, no, hold on a second. You know what? Let me bring Travis on the show because I know the number one thing. Like if you're trying to, I don't know, get credibility. I don't know if that's what you're seeking, but for sure you're going to be having some content that not on your channel, right? It's on Arcade1UP Official.
Right.
Nobody knows you. Like
That's
in
fine.
this community, you're unknown. And I say that from a data point of view, right? I have access to a lot of data, and the data says nobody knows you. So
Let's be
I thought
clear, I don't
maybe
want anyone to know me, because it's not about me. It's about the information. It's about, I'll never stop saying this. It's about the facts. I don't care if anyone knows who I am. They're like, that's that dude that asks questions. You don't ever have to know my name. I don't care. I really don't. It's about the answers, facts.
Hey, by the way, do you still have that filter on that makes you always looking at the camera?
Oh, I can if you like. I can turn
Let's
it
do
on.
that real quick. But while you turn that on, we were talking about it earlier because we're tech nerds. This is the cabinet from the Arcade1UP show. And here's the thing. We got to talk to John, because I think John has a webcam that's like wide angle lens. So it's kind of like stretched in the edges or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled. And it's not intentional. I think he's using the, I can't remember the brand of webcam that he uses, but he was talking about it. And it's, anyway, it kind of makes it look like the cab is like super huge on the side. Yeah. It's a standard 3/4 scale Arcade1UP. Notice the slant that's right here. That's this. If you were to buy this, it's the same cabinet as the one that's out there from 2019, except for the artwork and the coin door has been changed. Now, here's a question. Are we going to get an XL version in 2023? What about other titles? Now, here's what I'll say, and Travis is going to rejoin. He's doing the thing where he's running some software that does some really cool stuff, so he wants to show it off. Anyway, are we going to get an XL version in 2023? I asked John this question, and there's interesting things that are very clear to me, and I want to share that with the audience. Not even Arcade1UP knows what they're going to release. And the reason why I say that is you might think there's a plan, and I think there is a plan, like, hey, we have a roadmap of ideas. But if it's a cabinet, let me give you an example. If there is a cabinet that is brand new, like Blitz, that's a cabinet that's brand new, and it's a new design, like a Blitz. It's not using any other kind of shape that's out there. It takes years for them to develop. Now, a lot of that is in the firmware and software and all that stuff. But if it's a title they've already done, they can make a decision to make that one again within 3 months. Like 3 months. So think of the lead time on that. That means that in E3, if they plan on shipping more cabinets in June or something like that, around the E3 timeframe, they only need to make the decision of which title it's going to be 2 or 3 months ahead of time. Now, didn't they mention the yoke was different? The yoke is the same. What Justin Wong was saying was the yoke was modeled after the original cabinet. That's true of the 2019 version and the 2023 version. There's no difference in the yoke. Again, let me make it very, very clear. The only difference in this cabinet is the artwork and the coin door. That's it. And it's available at arcade1up.com, and it's available at Shop Hippo. And they're making 3,500. That's true. Now, about the XL version, they've already done an XL, but they've never done an XL Star Wars. But the emulation's going to be the same, and maybe they'll do high score or something like that. Hey, Travis, you back?
Yep.
That's not what I meant to do.
Oh,
so we were talking about, will there be an XL? My main summary of that point is I don't even think Arcade1UP knows if they're going to do an XL.
That's that. And again, the more you dig into some of this stuff, the more you realize that a lot of this stuff happens because of data that comes in after the fact. Again, if this thing sells, so it's already sold out within about an hour or so on Arcade1UP. So the first, what did we say, 200 or 300?
2 or 300, right?
300 are gone. They're going to try to put it up for another 100 and something, right? If that goes very fast, which there's no reason to think it won't. Now they have to look at Shop Hippo and how fast they do it. Now, to be clear about Shop Hippo, this is something I only learned recently. You probably already know this. Shop Hippo doesn't just sell on shophippo.com. Apparently, they also give stuff to places like Walmart, which I was not aware of this. This is new information to me.
Is it Shop Hippo is actually as seen on TV or something like that?
They are as seen on TV. So you may see this pop up elsewhere that it was not mentioned, but that's completely up to whatever Shop Hippo wants to do with their allotment. So will it be a pro? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I don't think, and I'm going to talk about this in the the one update show. I personally am not sure that Arcade1UP should be working on pros right now. They should stick with deluxe. Their attention to detail isn't quite at the standard it needs to be to release pros, as we saw with the KI Pro, which I want to talk about on the one update show too. So I think until they figured out things that should have been easy, like joysticks, and so, all these things they should have figured out the first time, they shouldn't even start pros. They shouldn't even think about pros. Do some deluxes, get those out there. Once they've mastered that, which, we still get sometimes marquees that aren't right. It's like, we should be over this by now. Once they've mastered that, then go back to pros.
I agree with you, but I would stretch that into focus on deluxe and XL.
Yeah, I agree. XL especially. Please, more XL, please.
I mean, imagine. So I don't know. I don't think Arcade1UP would do what I'm about to say exactly. Yeah. But we have seen XLs at the $6.99 price. So now we have a Star Wars re-release at $5.99.
Yeah,
I would pay $100 more for an XL for a Star Wars. I don't think would happen because it's only $100 stretch from this one. But $7.99, I think that could happen for the XL. They exactly the same yoke, no difference. Right. Basically, take the Star Wars cabinet, this one that they released, and either make it. I could see them do a deluxe version of this down the line for $5.99. Yep. A deluxe for $5.99. Basically, it's the same cabinet, but no riser now. Probably would make the people that bought this version upset, but I could see it happening.
Sure.
But more likely, what I could see, not a pro, because pro is kind of like $9.99, and they want to put like better sticks in it. No, they just put the same yoke in it. If it's a Star Wars, same yoke, $6.99, $7.99, 2024. I could see it as a possibility.
Sure, 100%. I mean, all that's possible. It's all possible.
Right. So and maybe that one, maybe based on their data, they're like, hey, we're going to do 3,500 of the this original style model, with the riser. Mm-hmm. And then maybe the XL is not 3,500. Maybe they only do 2,000 or something like that. I don't know.
Well, minimum order quantity is like 3,000. So they have
but for the XL, right? Like with the Pro, with KI Pro, they were able to do it. Oh, that was for $1,000 retail though.
Yeah, that is also true. So that's the problem. I want to see just a lot more. Wouldn't it be great if the only thing you could find are deluxe, XLs, and Pros, and then be done? And not necessarily the same for everything. We don't need a Pro PacMan. We don't need that. We don't need Big Doug.
I hear you.
You want a Pro PacMan?
No. Hold on.
All right.
I think Pro means we're going to put really good.
That's my point.
Sticks in there, right? So yes, we don't need a Pro PacMan, but Peasant, you're forgetting Peasant.
No, I'm not done. Yeah, no. Obviously, Walmart's going to have their own SKU. You have to remember that a lot of the stuff is driven by the retailer. Walmart's buying power makes manufacturers make SKUs for them, and a lot of people don't understand that. That's why you only see certain things at Walmart, because when you get into Walmart, your company is pretty much like a made man in the mafia. Like it's a big deal, but they also require a lot from the manufacturers. So quite frankly, there's always going to be a peasant version for as long as Walmart carries stuff. There will always be that. I'm just talking about for the people that are watching YouTube videos about arcade games. That's a much smaller slice of the people that are actually buying these things. And for those people, I think Deluxe, Pro, and XL is the only thing we really care about.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other piece that I've heard a lot of people in the community, and even in the live show that people were upset about, were like, oh, we want a new title.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree. Yeah. I think a new title would have been better. But I think what they were dealing with was simply, hey, at the end of the year, we got a manufacturer that's willing to make 3,500 units of something. What do you think it should be? Right. But we don't have the lead time to be able to design a new cabinet, so it has to be a re-release.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone's been asking for the Star Wars. Maybe we should do the Star Wars. We asked the manufacturer if they could do it, and they said sure, but they got to make some tweaks to it because they haven't made one since 2019. Like, hey, while you're at it, why don't you put a coin door on it so we can add a little more value to it? Hey, maybe you could swap out the artwork so like it flows a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're at. And some people, their only option for the Star Wars re-release was secondary market and eBay, which were overcharging. And this is now driving down the cost of what it would get Star Wars. And then Best Buy found some stock. So now they're available at $450 as well.
So real quick, I just, because this is going to scroll up. Josh has a question, and I'm glad he's asking it, because his question says, question Travis, are they ever going to patch the audio issues for T2? One of the questions that I am asking on the one update is updates on older cabs. There are bugs across different cabs. T2, I know Dragon's Lair has some stuff. Like, I'm going to ask these questions. These are some of the questions I'm asking. I'm not just asking about MVC2 Online. I will, of course. But there are people that own products that are not in a great state. And I want to know, is Arcade1UP going to go back and fix those this year? Because we're pretty confident this is not going to be a large release year for a lot of titles. Last year was some of the biggest titles they've ever released. Some were fumbled across the finish line, if you know, sorry for the pun, but they were the biggest ones. Killer Instinct, MVC2, Blitz. If you had said a year and a half ago that those 3 titles would be out in the same freaking year, someone would think, you have no idea what you're talking about. Those are huge titles. Did they mess up on 2 of the 3? Yes. The question is, now what? And that's what I'm going to ask.
You know, it gives me a good idea. So this is what I'd like to do for you, Travis. So first of all, if you're new to this channel and you haven't hit subscribe, you're welcome to hit that subscribe if that's an interest, if that's something you'd like to do. But there's no obligation. Now, Travis MCP is going to be the, what is it called? The
community ambassador. I don't know. I gotta get a sash now and everything. It's ridiculous.
Those in the chat, could you do me a favor? And I'm gonna try to get this working here. Type in one update, and then basically list. Let me make it easier for you. Just put the question mark at the beginning of your question. What are the type of questions that you want Travis to get answers from Arcade1UP? Let's go through. We can spend a little bit of time going through the chat. Some of these things, maybe as just people that are part of the community, maybe we know the answer to, and we can answer them right now.
Yeah.
And other ones, and I'll start starring these as I see them coming in. Other things, maybe Travis can behind the scenes. Now, keep in mind, Travis is a part of the beta program.
Right.
And that gives him access to, I think you have communication sometimes with QA developers. Yep. There'll be beta releases. I know you've communicated with Code Music.
All the time. Those guys are really awesome, man. They are doing things behind the scenes you guys have no idea. They are the literal savior of the community, and they don't even want to be known about it. They don't even want people to know about it. If you just see Code Mystics on Twitter, even though you don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, just throw them a like. Those guys are amazing, and they obsess over having good games, and even things they don't even have to do, they are doing. It is crazy. They are a great company.
That's pretty cool. All right, so we got a list of questions that are coming in here, and yeah, let's see how it goes here. So the first one, now here's a difficult one. So if your question is, are they going to come out with a cabinet? I mean, we can speculate.
It's never going to. That's a speculation. I'll leave that for Justin and all the rest. Like, speculate on based on things. Yeah, that's not. We already know they're not going to answer that. But
what I can say is Sinistar is a game that they've already put on a machine, so we know they have the license for it. Will they ever do a dedicated cabinet for it? Even Arcade1UP doesn't know. It's very possible, and this is what I've heard. Like, if they have, again, this is an interesting summary. I've said this a few times, but I don't think a lot of people know about this. Like, this is Arcade1UP in a nutshell. I think in 2020, 2021, those 2 years, that's where Arcade1UP had the most amount of sales, millions of cabinets sold. And I think at some point they were just like, wow, we got this machine. We have a machine. What is the machine? The machine is retailers willing to buy the cabinets, and they can market them to customers that will buy it. And a manufacturer that's willing to make them. So they go to the manufacturer and they're like, hey, how many can you make? And they're like, we can make 1 million this year, or we can make 500,000 this year. And the retailer is like, well, how many can you move this year? They're like, oh, we can move 500,000 or 1 million. They're like, okay, cool. What titles should we put on that train? That's between the manufacturer and the retailer. It's just going to go. And I think it's the company, Arcade1UP, just making guesses. They're like, let's do 10,000 of this. Let's do 50,000 of this. Let's do this. And that still exists. But I think because of the recession or whatever other challenges that the companies have, or all companies have, I think the number of sales and the number of manufactured units is lower. And I think that's why we got a Star Wars re-release. They're like, that's the title we've done before, but we can move 3,500 of it. So that's like a train, and one of the carts was 3,500 units. And they're like, let's throw Star Wars in that one, and we can get it to sell for a max price of $5.99. That's what they're doing. Will they do a Cinestar? Maybe. And the answer is, if they go to the manufacturer and be like, how many can you make in the next 3 months? They're like, 50,000. They go to retailers and they're like, hey, how many can you sell? And you're like, we can sell 50,000. You're like, hey, can 3,000 of those be Cinestar? Would you buy it? And they're like, okay, sure. And if everything works out, they'll make a Cinestar. Yep. But if the retailer is like, I don't know what Cinestar is, I totally won't buy it. Exactly. And the manufacturer is like, I don't have that excess quantity. Like, it just won't work. And I think that answer of like whether Arcade1UP will do it, this is why I keep on saying they don't even know if they're going to do it, because I think they don't have a plan really for the next 5 years of exactly what they're going to make, because they have to react to the real-time data that's coming in based on the economy, the container cost, the people in the community that are requesting certain titles. And that's why they say get loud, because they're like, hey, if something gets like MK4, like freaking Zohar's like, Zohar he's not a home arcade channel anymore.
No, I know. He's an MK4.
He's an MK4 petition channel. Every single video is just, he used to talk about iArcade for a while, but now he's just MK4.
Yeah.
But maybe he's going to win. He might.
See. I'm asking the question, and I'm going to dig into, obviously they won't say, yeah, we're going to do it. But the question is more like, at what point do you go, yes, we have to make this? Like, what is the point? It's not going to be a petition of like 500 or 600 people, half of which said they're not going to buy the actual cab. They just want to support Zohar. It's something else. Like, I want to know what is it that they do that goes, okay, this is the thing we're actually going to make. And that's the question I'm asking. And by the way, Lewis Chambers is in there. He is the admin of the new Facebook group. I've been assured that Arcade1UP employees are actually going to be paying attention to that group. So yes, ask your questions there as well. Lewis has got a great YouTube, Facebook group. If we can put the link in chat, that would be great. Can Lewis put the link there?
Lewis is a mod of my channel, I believe. Yeah, so he should be able to post it in there. All right, so let's
community, by the way. Yeah.
What do you know about the T2? Do you know anything about?
I don't have T2. I am aware of it, and what I'm going to do is when I ask the question, it's going to be more about older games that still have, kind of outstanding issues. I was going to name T2. I was going to name MK30th. I was going to name Dragon Slayer, like the things that people know if they watch the reviews that there's these outstanding issues. And I'm literally going to ask, what's the thought process behind, are these going to be updated, or should we just accept it and be done with it? Or are you actually going to do something? And I actually kind of know the answer to this already, but I want to get it solidified. And because once this goes out on the internet, it lives forever, and Arcade1UP has to be okay with whatever the message is. So there is that. However, I'm not, no puff, no pass. Like if I ask a question, and to be completely transparent, I will have to ask some of these questions before the live stream, because the last thing you want is for me to ask a question and then he goes, oh, I don't think I can answer that. You don't want that. I want to know that when we go live, the question I'm going to ask, you are going to get an answer for. And if I ask a question and I'm like, hey, are you going to fix the T2 audio issue? And I get this kind of, I'm just not going to ask the question. I would rather have 10 questions that are 100% answered than 20 where some are like, like, I don't want that. I want answers. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to get a shirt that says this, Justin. I only care about the facts. I don't care about anything else. I really don't. Facts.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I can say that one thing that the community has been pushing is just more transparency.
Yes.
And one of the things that I heard was a struggle was John trying to get the approval to just freaking say how many machines they're making. And I heard his argument was, look, they're going to find out anyway from the shipping container. Why don't we just be upfront with it?
And just tell them, yes, 100%.
And he did that tonight, so
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I'm happy. I mean, that's a great first step. Now, is that always going to be the case? I don't know, but it's a great first step. You kind of got to look at what's in front of you. The transparency was there for the first time, other than the KI Pro thing. It was 500, but I don't think we've ever really heard numbers before. We didn't hear about MVC2. We were told that it was going to be limited, but we didn't know what that meant. This time, we know.
Yeah, and I will say the feedback was giving to Arcade1UP, and I don't know. The show is what it is, but in the last show, there was a lot of feedback related to FOMO.
Yes.
And, you know, so...
You did a great job, by the way. Let me shout out Justin here. I don't like FOMO either, to be honest. But I think you succinctly, before we went live, were like, y'all need to like not feed into that. So shout out to Justin for doing that ahead of time and making sure that some of the FOMO words and stuff weren't used. I really appreciated that personally.
Yeah, my main comment was, look, the cab's going to sell itself. Just state facts. Yep. Just make sure that, and the reason why I say that is because I'm a very analytical person. I want to make decisions based on data, and they gave me access to the data. And the truth is, this is the truth. What I understand the community actually wants is just information. They don't care about anything else. Banter, just, you know, your editorial comment, employees, you know, their opinion of whether you should drive to buy that item. Like, none of that matters. The reason why I say it is because people skip past that part of the video. And I see that on my own videos. You know, if I'm like, hey, this is what I know, let me tell you exactly what's going on. That's the area that people actually watch the video. Yeah. But then if I'm like, now here's a theory, or let me, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, it's all this additional editorial. If it's not based on any real information, if there's not hanging on something that's logical, no one cares.
That was my thing when this came up. I'm like, I like a good speculation video as much as the next person, but I like speculation on facts. And it was getting to the point where Arcade1UP was being so kind of foggy in some things that speculation was off things that had nothing to do with anything. And now you got people off thinking that things are going to happen that are never going to happen, or that there's a problem with something that isn't actually a problem. And it was frustrating for me as a viewer, because the problem, and I've said this a billion times before, you've heard me say this a million times, the problem with this community is that one person will say something, another person will repeat it, and then it becomes fact. Doesn't matter if the first person who said it is wrong, because as soon as that second person says it, people start echoing the same thing and it becomes fact. I don't care what the fact is. I just want the fact to be accurate. I don't want it to be some kind of made up thing. And I know how to drill into someone and ask them the question. And if I smell BS, I would prefer just to not even go there, because at this point, like, again, I don't have to worry about having people subscribe to my channel. I don't care. I don't want you to look up my channel. I don't want you to do anything. I don't care. Just watch what I do on one update, listen to the answers, and that's all. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to, I don't care about any of that. You don't have to super chat. Please don't super chat. Please never do anything to do with me, because it's not about me. It's about the answers. 100%. That's what it is.
There you go. All right. So I got a lot of starred comments in here. We're going to try to rip through them. We're trying to, there's a tendency, and let me tell you guys, those that don't understand this, like doing a live show, it's super easy. Like if you're hanging out with your friends, someone brings up a topic, and next thing you know, you're like talking about that topic for 5 minutes, and it's really hard. But I'm going to put it to Travis here. I know you're a great content creator, so you can do this, so you can hold me to it.
I'm okay.
If you don't know the answer, just be like, I don't know the answer.
I respect people so much more when they say they don't know than to try to figure out an answer.
All right. John D said the Star Wars was going to be exclusive to Arcade1UP Direct and Shop Hippo, but Best Buy is shipping it now. Let's be real for once. Am I wrong? What do we know about that?
We know that the Best Buy that they're shipping is the old 2019. That is not what is being sold today. This earlier in this stream, Justin broke it down for you. It is basically the same thing. There's a coin door difference. There's one other difference someone else has talked about. The new machine is much louder. At least
that's right. That's right.
Substantially louder. So whether or not every other one that goes out is going to be louder, and whether you even care that it's louder, listen, the OG one is plenty loud enough, but this one's way louder. It's freaking loud.
That's right. So that didn't end up being part of the show, but if I understand correctly, what happened was John D has the new version, and on his phone, he did a DB test, right? It tells,
we both did,
and then you did that as well. And remember what the numbers were?
Yeah. So I peaked very briefly at 106 decibels, right up against the Star Wars. He hit 113. Now, if you don't know decibel numbers, every 6 is like a doubling of power. So even though it sounds like it's only 7 dB difference, 7 dB difference is a lot. You know, what you perceive is substantially different than a number 7. It is a huge difference. Now, I don't suspect anyone's running this thing at 15 because it's too loud. While I was talking this time, he could not hear what I was saying. It was so loud. So anyway.
So the cabinet is different. And this is the thing. Like, what I understand is the manufacturer was like, you know, we haven't made that cab in like since 2019. So not all the parts are going to be exactly the same. What is the same is the mold. What is different is they put a condor on it this time and different artwork. But that's right. We forgot to talk about it. It's great. We're 50 minutes into the show. And one of the things, and this was just simply a comparison between John D., who has the production version. The rest of the units are going to, in the first 308 that were sold on the website, will ship in the next 2 days. Another ones will be in February. If you do crank it up to 15, the data says it will be louder than the 2013 version. Is that enough to do an upgrade? I don't think it's enough to do an upgrade, but if you never got the one in the first place, you'll be happy to know that the audio maybe it has a better amp in it. Maybe they put a different circuit inside. I don't know. I know a little bit about audio. I used to do some modifications to Nintendo, and it was crazy how you can get radical different little op amps based on simply what resistor and capacitor you use in that circuit. A tiny change can make a huge difference. I don't know. Maybe the new production run is a more optimized circuit for their audio amp. I know there's a few people in the chat that are experts at this. Comment if you're familiar with that. Okay, see, there we go. We did one comment. We ranted for a while. Qbert, we don't know. Product Romat, we don't know. Wind Smash TV or Double Dragon, we don't know. Any plans to vote? Okay, I think there's something on this, right?
To vote on the next bucket? What does that mean?
It's possible that on the official Facebook group, they'll run polls.
Yes, that is true. That is 100%.
And what we do know is Arcade1UP, they just want to sell cabs. That's all they want to do. They're a company that sells wood. It's nostalgia and wood. That's all they do.
That's awesome.
They sell wood for $5.99. And they're going to, if you say you'll buy this wood for $5.99 versus that wood, they'll sell you that wood with that different title in it if they can do it. And so my understanding is the poll or vote is a possible thing they've been thinking about doing in the Facebook group. They've done it in the past, but they kind of want to do that more. Monitor type.
Same exact monitor as the previous Star Wars.
Yeah, so it's that BOE model. BOE is said to be IPS. It's if you get down to the very specifics of the spec, it's technically not an IPS monitor. IPS monitor means a very, very specific thing. BOE creates what they claim to be a proprietary technology that's better than IPS, but when described, it's like basically IPS, but more. And so that I don't know if they can technically make the claim that it is an IPS monitor, but it's definitely not a TN monitor. It doesn't have the spec of the TN monitor, and it has that 89, 89, 89, 89, which is the, like the viewing angle in all four areas are very good without losing, color distortion, which is what you would find in an IPS monitor.
Watch reviews of the old Star Wars cabs, same one.
Yeah, so expect it to be the same. It didn't appear to be any radical difference when we looked at the video from John D. The black looked black, and if you do it at some extreme angle, maybe you'll see like 1% of ghosting, but it's not like a TN monitor where you slightly move to the right and it's like you barely can see the screen because it's distorted so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No clue.
Good point, though. Safer, is that a thing? If that's a thing, I'll ask about it. 100%. Okay. But this is a big umbrella thing. It's like, what games are going to potentially get updates that are fixed? So I don't even need to. I wasn't aware of this, so definitely we'll put it down.
This is good. I'm gonna write it down. I have like little notes I'll take real quick. To make
And
sure
there's the
you
one about Big Blue. Is
follow
that
up
a
on it.
thing too? I wasn't even aware of that. I don't have the Street Fighter cabs, but this is good information. I will 100%.
I have that one, so I can do some tests on it. And
Yeah,
I think it
please
has
do.
to do with you just play the game, you get a high score. And I've seen, I think one comment on my video about Yoga Flame was talking about the high score. And I was thinking to myself, well, when you play the game, it pushes the high score, you know, or your gameplay to the, I don't know. Saved local high scores.
Yep.
Let's make sure that that's fixed or whatever, or
Asked.
being worked on. Okay, wrote that one down for you, buddy. Let's see. When will Big Blue? Wow, another one.
I wasn't aware of this, so definitely, since it affects more than one, 100% will ask. 100%.
And I wonder if Big Blue and Yoga Flame are different, but I wonder if their base firmware is similar. So if they fix it in one, they can apply the fix to both.
Likely. I mean, they did the
So
same
they
thing with
could-
MVC, MVC2, so an X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's a title we don't know.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything limiting them from doing Daytona USA.
No, just got to get time done. Good question. We'll dive into that. We'll definitely dive into that.
You're talking about MVC2 bugs?
Yeah, well, MVC2 period is going to be. I'm going to spend a lot of time asking questions about that. We'll see what we find out.
Okay. Will the MK Deluxe have lobbies like the Street Fighter cabs?
I can answer a little bit of this. Currently, it is going to be set up exactly like MK30th. Will things change? So there's a push to hopefully get spectate on MK30th. I will ask questions about that as well. If that happens, it'll look just like KI. Well, it'll look exactly like it does now, but the spectate, if Arcade1UP decides to move forward with it, will be exactly like KI, which in my mind is bleeding edge.
Are you saying that this is the whole idea that, okay, so there's different companies that do emulation for the different companies, or for the different titles.
Yep.
But Code Mystics has offered the ability to license their technology cross-platform, cross-integration.
Yeah.
So there's an option for Arcade1UP investing money into taking a cabinet that was not designed by Code Mystics, but integrating Code Mystics technology for Spectate, but it would require a developer to go in and meet the spec. They have to go in and write code that says, okay, this game at this part's got to talk to their back end or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they do all that work, which probably costs, I don't know,
It's gonna cost
hundreds
money.
of thousands of dollars. I don't know, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. I don't know. Whatever the number is, it costs money.
Yeah. So let's to rewind. The best thing that ever happened to me in this community is I got the Blitz thing wrong. Right after that, I was contacted by several people, including Code Mystics, to clear everything up. And I have a really good relationship now with Code Mystics. I actually have they gave me a mug thing. I talk to Code Mystics weekly. And I now understand a lot more about how everything works. I can't share everything, but what I can say is you're exactly right. I mean, they've said that Gemini is what they license out. Any software any hardware could use it if they decide to. And it's the multiplayer aspect of it. So the features you see on KI could work on something like an MK30th. It's just a matter of the dev implementing it. And Code Mystics will absolutely support and help make that stuff work if it is licensed to do so. So Arcade1UP, all they have to do is license it and it can be put on. So the question is, will they? And that's the question I will be asking.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Let's see. I really want official forum on their website. I don't use social media. Any chance you can ask about that? Okay.
I want official form. That's interesting.
I'm going to write that one down because remember there was a discussion of what if Arcade1UP had like a tech blog or something?
Yeah.
Official forum.
Yeah.
On arcade1up.com. So someone recently, I just saw it's come by. How is Travis gonna remember all this? Well, we're gonna try to write it down.
Yeah, we're just gonna write it down. I mean, yeah.
Okay, I'm going through. You might see some repeats.
Hard to know. I can ask, but we'll see. That's an interesting question.
Replacement coin door.
The real question is, well, we know they're going to have replacements, right? They always have replacement hardware.
That would be key.
But
yeah, I see. Yeah.
You know where I'm going to go with this?
Just make it available for replacement.
Look, I got the new one just by yeah. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not.
Why not? Right?
It's
And be
not
just
gonna
like,
matter. I mean, the
people
front
could buy the
piece-
replacement, and maybe you got to drill 4 holes, and someone puts a little like what do you call it? Like
Oh my gosh.
a template.
Yeah.
Someone like puts a template that you print out, and you just stick it in. You like drill 4 holes, and you're like, boom, I'm done.
Yeah.
Are there any technical upgrades with this cab over the Star Wars, or is it all cosmetic?
No,
speakers have been upgraded.
The speakers are the same. It's 99.9% cosmetic. Or maybe
so the speakers are the same, but the speakers are louder, probably because the amp.
Okay, let's be clear. It's the amp that's louder. It's not the speakers. Speakers are the same.
So they swapped out a resistor inside the PCB, making it 7 dB louder or something like that.
Yeah. Something. I don't know. Things are better now since remember 2019.
Okay. Is the Deluxe or Pro MVC2 likely?
We will talk about that. To my knowledge, no more MVC2 this year. You might have seen come through there was another bill of lading that went to Shop Hippo for all the people who ordered previously. But I've asked multiple times, are any other MVC2s coming? No, has been the answer multiple times. It is whatever has gone to Shop Hippo. If Shop Hippo only took an order for however many and then left some so that they want some to go live, that's up to them. But there are no more being made. Whatever came across the water and is going to Shop Hippo, ominous. Oh, well, there's an asterisk to that, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
There are no more being made. Let me be clear. No more being made.
Okay. Miss PacMan Super Speed, I wrote that one down. Why would they add Travis to their channel? Find an employee with a shred of professionalism and let them do a pre-recorded video. It's not rocket scientists.
But would you really want that? Because then they're asking the question and answering it. Don't you want someone who is on your side to ask the question and ask the deep question? Not like, because here's the thing, without something like this, they would have just said limited quantities and you would have no idea how many.
It's true. Or, it was an outside influence that got them to say the numbers.
Exactly right. This was a conversation that happened like in a call with me and John. And it's the same thing with some of this other stuff that's going to come out. This stuff would have never come out. And again, it doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody, but I'm asking the questions. I happen to have this connection with people. I don't know why. And we're going to get answers. So who cares? Who cares who does it?
All right. Can we eventually get an option to add the brightness and contrast on the monitors? Sometimes with scanline options, it makes it really dark. I would love the option to adjust the monitor. Okay.
Sounds cool.
Adjust monitor.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question, but I wonder if they'll even bother. It's a little bit like Apple. Apple, if they wanted to, on like iPhone stuff, they could give you more control, but they're like, we just want you to turn on your phone and it work. Like, we don't want to give you too much control, but I'll ask. Why not?
It would have to be, there's no support for that today. I think that would require a connection between the PCB and actually the monitor. There is, it's voltage regulated. So the amount of brightness that those bulbs backlit are projecting, I think right now is a static power. So they would have to wire in to the controller of the PCB a separate board that could regulate that power. Basically, that's how a television works. A television has control over those adjustment. Yeah, that's interesting. Can't Arcade1UP sell in a box just the seat bench with a, what is he saying? Canopy?
A canopy you're going to attach to the cab? I'm not sure what that means. Are you talking about like so you can do a sit down version of this one?
Yeah. I think I've had this idea before. It's I'm going to say it in the weirdest way. So Arcade1UP could come out with a Star Wars cabinet that looks like a cockpit, but there's no way that they would ever sell something that a kid could sit in that could possibly collapse on that child.
Yeah, good point.
How could they do it? A tent. It's a tent. Right? It's just a tent, so it's a canopy with fabric over them.
Canopies.
Anyway, canopies. Okay. So this person made a couple super chats related to, he wants to see some different ROMs. I think I showcased this.
Different games? Is that what you're talking about? Like
he's talking about different ROMs, basically something new.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty clear we're going to see new games this year. I don't know how many we're going to see, but we're going to see new games this year.
New adjustable volume controls on other cabinets instead of the 3-position switch. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see that. I don't think they're going to come out with an upgrade kit.
Oh, like a retro thing for people can. No, they're not going to do that because I think you need to get a new encoder board or something too, don't you? Or it would be a lot of work. No, you're just gonna have to. You're just gonna have to buy the new one. I guess.
That's right. The technology. Yeah, I don't know how they would do that. It would be too complicated, I think. Big Blue will hopefully have the desync issue with the video.
I'm not sure about that one. Again, if it's it comes down to, is Arcade1UP going to spend the time to correct issues with older machines? That's the question. It doesn't matter which one it is. I mean, obviously, at some point, if they say yes, we need a list of those games. And the issues.
If we can get them to commit to,
right,
I don't know, the biggest one, right? And then go from there and then see if we can add in all the other ones. Like even, come on, give us speed support on those old partycades that you promised years ago that you would. Yep. Let's see. Ask John, if you give Walmart an exclusive cab, does that mean you contractually can never remake that cab ever?
Interesting.
Can Star Wars Sit Down Bench ever be made again?
A great question. Exclusive cabs, can they be made elsewhere? Great question.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have no knowledge of that being an exclusive cab. I think...
Was it Walmart only for that one? I don't know.
I mean, I think Walmart... buys a lot of cabinets from Arcade1UP.
Sure do.
So they don't necessarily mean they're exclusive. It just means they're really good at selling to Walmart.
Yeah.
My understanding is, I could be wrong with this, that there's just the bench didn't sell as well as the stand-up. And I think the same with Outrun, like the stand-up, and then that's why Ridge Racer is the stand-up, because it's like they did the bench and it just didn't do as well. So more people like the stand-up. So if they're going to commit to a SKU, they want that SKU to move, have the best chance of, having a sell through. And if there's only a limited subset of people that want the variant on it, they have to make the decision of whether or not they should make that subset. It's risky. It's risky to make that subset. Yeah, I mean, honestly, what would be better is, sell the SKU, that will move, and then sell an add-on for the other part. Like, just, do a run of benches. Be like, here you go. You can buy the Star Wars cabinet, and if you want a bench, buy a bench.
Maybe that's a question. Accessories, things like that. Yeah, it's a question, right?
All right, Star Wars bench. I'm just writing this down for you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. We did that one already. This is hard. There's like a lot of them.
It's a lot. Okay. Plus there's super chats continuing to come in. I see that.
So I think on the Facebook group, we've been getting that posted by Lewis in there. Dragon Slayer track mode. You're aware of this one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that one's on his list already. We got a super chat. It says Star Wars is a beautiful cab. Great re-release. Definite buy. For the 90% out there, great company and direction.
To be honest, if I had missed it, I would have bought it. Because it's a classic for me. I mean, if it's not for you, that's cool. That's fine. I understand. Maybe a little disappointed, but it is what it is. Hey Jake, we already answered this. I don't know that I want to go over it again, but I would just say rewatch. Give Justin your watch time and watch the beginning.
There you go. Wouldn't a Pro have the 3D molded parts, the side of the monitor, like the original? Yeah, that's definitely an option.
Good point.
That's what I'm hoping for. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if they can come out with an XL and they can give us more without the price going too high, I'm in. But don't give us that extra crap and then charge us $500 more for it, because we don't want that.
Right.
Don't charge us $1,500 just because it's going to be more of a replica. Like, figure out a way for a really good compromise, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. We did that one. See.
So the questions like this, we're not going to get a definitive answer, but what I can ask is something like, if you had to say less than 10, more than 5, how many new cabs are we getting this year? They may decide to answer that or not, but at least that's more likely to be answered than saying, hey, are we going to try Legacy? They're not going to tell us, but they may tell us about anywhere between 7 and 10 new cabs are coming out this year. At least that gives you something, right? Yeah.
That's right. For those in the audience, do me a favor. Give me an indication whether you like this show. Use that like button if you appreciate the value you're getting in this video. Hit that dislike button if you're like, man, I hate Justin. And I especially hate Travis. Hit the dislike if you hate Travis. And I'll look at the data later, so I'll share it with him too.
You know. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell me about how.
Like if you like me, hate if you hate him. There you go.
That's great. Fantastic.
Are you getting the new Atari Legacy this year?
So that's what we were just talking about, answering, you know, what kind of, about how many new cabs they may think about releasing.
Let's see. What would be the Atari Legacy?
Yeah, what would be
so maybe it would be another Tempest? Because at CES, they didn't re-release an Atari, right? So it was PacMan, and PacMan, and PacMan.
And then MK.
And Mortal Kombat, right?
Kind of, right? Wasn't it weird when
Casino Cade?
You're asking about like MK, it's on their website, and they're like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. I would have pressed so hard, man, because that doesn't make any sense.
I can tell you what's going on. So what Travis was referring to is B Kong and I were in Vegas and we were talking to Cyrus, and I can appreciate the position he's in. And we were on a stream before the show, and I won't say his name because no one knows his name, and he probably doesn't want his name out there. But let's just say the person that's behind the website of arcade1up.com. I mean, these people have access to things that we don't have access to.
Yeah.
So there's comments like, so is this the Star Wars re-release we're doing? They're like, yeah. Like, okay. And I wanted to be like, no, it's not. It's the other one, you know? So I think they, like we in the community, right? We only see the announcement that's coming out. What we don't see is all the meetings that they had about what they've thought about doing.
Yes.
It's like this at work. So I write code and it's really hard. So some people who just read the code, they look at the main branch and they know what the code ended up being. But I have a mental model, which is really hard, of what the code used to be.
Yeah.
And all the potential code changes in architecture we were going to do, which is really hard because it's like not what the public sees. It's all the possibilities. Anyway, that's weird. But my point is I think Cyrus was denying MK because perhaps they weren't planning on releasing it, but he knew it was potential,
right?
But he didn't know that they were gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so he was denying because he didn't know that the agreement was they are gonna do it.
Totally believe that. I totally believe that for a number of reasons.
Yeah. My reason comes to, I had heard that the KI Pro was a surprise to some people.
That's not
within the company.
That's not surprised me either. Let's
move
to the next one.
What type of screens on the new deluxe cabinet?
They're all IPS. I've asked this.
They're all BOE, right?
Well, here's the thing. Let's be clear about this. So they're IPS. Whether they all come from BOE or not is a completely different scenario, because, and they probably will, by the way. But I think what's important to understand is that they are not going back to TN. This is a question that I'll put in the first one.
I think super accurate is they're IPS or BOE's version of IPS, which is proprietary, which is not technically IPS, but it's as good as IPS.
Right, exactly.
It's IPS quality, right? 89, 89, 89.
The question that people want is, are they the crappy ones? And no, they are not the crap. That's really the question people want to know. Are they?
The last crappy one they made, and I should do this. I want to update my website, consolekits.com. It's like, here's what you shouldn't buy. Don't buy Dig Dug. I mean, if you love Dig Dug,
I love Dig Dug, but yeah,
you might love Dig Dug and you want that shape, but it comes with the TN monitor. Yeah. So you just know that the Dig Dug MK30th from 2022 came with the TN monitor. Golden TXL came with the TN monitor. It doesn't have that great viewing angle. If you can deal with it, that's your thing. But what we've heard is they're going to try very, very hard, and this is because of the community screaming about this, that every cabinet going forth, they're going to try very, very hard to make it IPS only or IPS equivalent, not TN. But even that, I'm not 100% sure. I would think twice about those peasant machines because I could see it very easily to be like, hey, those $299 Walmart versions, let's throw a TN monitor in that. You know, it's so this is what I've been thinking about doing, and maybe Travis, you can hold me to it. As a community member, I was thinking about upgrading my website, consolekits.com, to make it where there's a listing of every single product that Arcade1UP has, not only the ones that are currently available and not only the ones that have deals, but just there you go. Based on community reviews, pictures, we can indicate what type of monitor it has in there and the quality of it. Basically, people would, I was thinking, basically people could verify the quality of a product, and then I would make that available. I don't know all the details of how I'd do that, but I know there would be benefit because I constantly hear people say, should I get this cabinet? Does it have the TN? Yes, Joust. Someone just mentioned Andy's game room said Joust as the TN monitor.
It's unfortunate. But you can replace it if you want to go through the trouble, which I did for MK30. But anyway, Hubert, I'll ask about like what happened with that because the petition did pretty decent. I'd be interested to know if that was something, because I think it'll be the question that'll be tied in with the free MK4 question, which is like, is this a thing? At what point does it become a thing? Like those type of things. Will they say yes or no? Probably not, but I'd like to get more information.
Any plans to fix the graphical glitches on the Shin Hadouken and Yoga?
So I think that's what we were talking about earlier, that we're going to ask about previous games getting updates.
Yeah, I think they've proven that they can remove some of the graphical glitches, because I think there's actually a difference between the Yoga Flame and the Big Blue. Yoga Flame, I think the menus are better, the lag is less, but then there was a fix that was done on the Big Blue to reduce the lag. But I think there's some glitches on the Yoga Flame that are not available on the Big Blue.
Yeah.
They need to get it cleaned up for sure.
Asking.
Graphical issues on Yoga Flame. Writing that one down.
Yep.
Okay. I love Arcade1UP. Any Japanese companies can't do like you.
Wow. That's cool. I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. So I ran through my list, and there's probably more while we were asking those questions. Let's see. I'm behind on the chat. I'm going to try to do my best to try to catch up. I think, okay, I see where we're at there. Okay. So when was the next Arcade1UP update going to be?
February 3rd.
February 3rd. Okay. And what do you think is going to be the highlights of the... Tell me, like, in your mind.
I'm really legitimately going to bat to find out the answers to that, because the community deserves them. Whether you play online or not, I mean, so there's people that own the cab and don't play online. By the way, by the time online comes up, a lot of people who are excited to play online are going to play these sharks and never play online ever again. It's going to ruin it for them, but they deserve it. So 100%. I'm going to dig, and I can't take no for an answer for this. It's too long. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. It's too long. And I don't want it. It is not my desire to say anything that discourages Arcade1UP from coming out with a release. But at the same time, I understand your comments of, I've heard other people in the community, they're like, I've waited too long. Yeah. And the reason why I say that, I know there's a set of people that are very, very good at fighting games. And there's others that are just not. And I'm one of those. I don't have MVC2. I thought about getting it, but I decided not to get it. And I don't want to play online with that game because I would be demolished.
It would be. I will never play online. I will never get online with that game.
Really?
I won't do it.
So I've been playing a lot of games recently. I've been cleaning up my basement, doing a lot of rearranging, and I got, oh man, I love it so much. So I have an analog NT plugged into an HDMI converter. It's basically like component CRT. So I'm using an analog NT Noir to play Nintendo games on a CRT. So it's FPGA component video. Wow. It's clean on a nice Toshiba 25-inch. So I've been playing Contra. Here's my point. For the people out there that don't appreciate fighting games, and I'm not a fighting game guy, so like whatever, but this is an analogy. Where I'm at with Contra is I can beat Contra with the 30 lives. I use the G code. I use one continue.
Nice.
I'm not at the point where I can do it in a single continue. I have to continue one time. So it's like 40 lives it takes me to beat that game. But there's other people out there that can beat that game with one life. I'm
Yeah,
not there.
yeah, of course.
I feel as though that playing MVC2 online with this community would be like trying to compete with someone who uses a continue on
Right.
Contra,
You're
playing
100%
against
correct.
someone that can beat it in one life.
You are
Like, I can't
100%.
compete with that.
I can't
Let
even
me
tell you.
play with one continue, okay? Let me do up, down, left, right, BA start, okay? Or select start if I'm 2-player. Let me play that version. I can beat it in 15 minutes, and I enjoy it.
You know what? I've seen something come up a couple times, and I think the way it was said the first couple times didn't make any sense, but I'm starting to see the side of this yearly roadmap for game releases. So a lot of times, to be clear, they can't release roadmaps because they don't have everything signed, sealed, and delivered. Having said that, a lot of times, well in advance, they know something's going to come out. So I don't mind asking the question about having some type of roadmap. Like, why can't you share more of a roadmap with people for the year? Although, to be perfectly honest, most game companies don't. So this would be completely out of the norm for any kind of company. But I mean, there's no reason not to ask the question.
You should ask the question, but
Yeah,
I'll give you one reason why I don't think they will.
Oh, I can give you a lot, but go ahead.
Today was an example of Arcade1UP waiting till the exact possible moment. Now, keep in mind, Star Wars re-release was rumored to be released or announced last year before the end of the year. And a decision was made clearly as we got into the show and got more information about it to not announce it because they decided there's 2 options you can make. One option is to let the community know that a new cabinet is coming out right before the shipping docks are gonna spill, like basically leak it. Yeah. That's an option. You'd be like, hey, new Star Wars is coming out. And then the next day, the shipping docks prove it.
Yeah.
Or you just let that information get out because they can't stop it.
Right.
And then you announce it right before it can ship to the customer.
Which is what they did today.
That's what they did today. So they decided to go with last possible moment. We'll do an announcement. All the leaks and all the information is out there. So you watched that show and you knew what was coming.
Yeah. Which is better, though. I'd love to know from the crowd, because I personally would lean on the announce it before it hits the bill of lading. You already know it's on the ship. You might as well do it. Like, why not? Maybe you don't have a date, but at least announce the title. What do people in chat, would they prefer like it was done today, where now you can order? Well, you could have ordered today. You still can if you go to like Shop Hippo. Or would you like to know even earlier, knowing that maybe you have to wait a couple of weeks and it's not a surprise? I would love to hear that in the chat, what people have to say about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, you can kind of see it both ways. Like, do you announce it way ahead of time, or there's that Amazon thing. You buy it and it ships within 2 days or ships within a day. So those are the people that bought early, get the opportunity to play they'll be building their new Star Wars within the next couple days. And I've seen people comment previously that they hated that they said, hey, we got a new announcement. Oh, but you can't pre-order it for, like 2 months.
Can't win. But I think personally, it's better to know in advance, because some people don't have money today. Like for me, I say release on a Friday because that's payday for most people. What's today? Monday. You have the least amount of money on Monday a lot of times. So if you knew a couple weeks in advance, because Arcade1UP said, listen, we're releasing the newest Tron 2.0 or whatever the heck it is. It'll probably around the next couple of weeks. People can save up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. For me, that's what I would lean towards personally.
So is it the case? I think look at this. I don't know exactly where we're at with the whole Star Wars, but I think they've sold through the 400.
Yes, because remember, that's what they said they were going to put available from our partners once Arcade1UP is sold out. So it looks to be that the only place you can get it now is Shop Hippo. Now, to be clear, I'm under the understanding, I don't know if this is true or not, I've heard somewhere that sometimes Shop Hippo can sell to other vendors if they decide to. Whether they do that or not, I don't know. It's their inventory and do whatever the heck they want to. If they want to sublease or whatever, that's cool. But for now, it looks like you can't get it at arcade1up.com anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is available at Shop Hippo. It's not our job here to give you FOMO. Buy it if you want it. Buy it if you need it.
Yeah.
$5.99 is the price for this exact version. It's exactly the same as the 2019 version.
Which, by the way, is great, to be clear.
Yeah.
Great game, great system.
It's got the same marquee as before.
Mhm.
Perhaps slightly better chance that it won't have the wire hanging. I believe that maybe they understand how to remedy that. At least in John D's, the one that he has, the light looked good. It also comes with a coin door, and it has updated artwork, and that big difference is that artwork goes all the way down through the riser. Things that it's missing. Let's talk about that. Things that it's missing. Because it's basically the same SKU as the original, it doesn't have any of the new enhancements that you would find on like the deluxe. It won't have screw cap covers, for example. And so some people would be like, oh man, the screw cap covers were freaking awesome at CES. Yeah, this new Star Wars isn't really new. So it doesn't have that new feature. But they did slap a coin door in there.
Yeah, a lit one. The first time they've ever done that on a non-pro. So this is an interesting development that no one's really talking about. That means we might see this on some future cabs. I mean, I would imagine we would see it on future cabs, which is kind of dope. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, but this one is lacking push button like the Pro, just lit. But hey, it's still something, right? Like I would rather have a lit version than a non-lit version. And I'm totally okay in my arcade to be like, okay, so I have it right now. Like some cabinets have a coin door, some do not. And, you know, it is what it is. Like it doesn't have to be like cookie cutter in my cabinet, you know, in my arcade. All right, so I got a list of questions. You down for doing a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you need, Justin. I'm here for you, buddy.
The audience is here, so let's try to serve them. So this re-release is pretty much the
That's amazing.
Sure, yeah, I guess so. Those in the chat are all like, that super chat was 30 minutes ago. I'm like, we're trying to get through the chat here.
It's so hard.
Let's see. Is the 40th Star Wars going to be a Wi-Fi dongle? No, there's no Wi-Fi on this cabinet. It's same. I mean, maybe the PCB is slightly different, but they definitely didn't add a Wi-Fi to it. I totally missed it and apparently sold out. What the hell is going on? Catch me up, please. Sorry, this is from 30 minutes ago. Shop Hippo has them available still, and they'll ship February 15th.
And to be clear, there's like 3,500 left. Oh, no, sorry, not even, because that's what
3,000.
It's about 3,000 left.
3,000 left, yeah. So in day one, you know, they sold like 500 so far.
Not bad.
Will there be a resolution aspect setting in the future updates? Bit of a nitpick, but this stretch becomes visible pixel distortion on the PacMania because of the 5x4 panel.
Yeah, so you mean like, what is it called? Just, what do they call that?
Pixel Perfect.
Pixel Perfect. Again, this goes back to the same exact question I'm already going to ask. Are there going to be updates on older cabs? And yes, I mean, it's part of the same question.
Right. We know that like KI, Killer Instinct, Code Mystics did that one on the Pro, which is a 5x4 monitor. By default, it is pixel perfect.
Yep.
And it is a 5x4 19-inch screen, and they, Code Mystics, developed that cabinet with the ability to stretch that extra 64 pixels on the height if you so choose. That decision has not been made on the other cabinets that are just a $299, $399, $499 cabinet, like the PacMania 5x4 screen. Yeah. It's 5x4. Again, you're going to ask the question, will you make it where, hey, the 5x4 monitors that they released, is there any way? Those are Wi-Fi enabled, so they could target them for a firmware update with an option to do pixel perfect. And you just deal with the 32 pixels at the top, 32 pixels at the bottom of black. But that's your choice if you want pixel perfect. You know, that would be if they're going in, I would say if they're going in there anyway and adding some more features like the scan lines and stuff that are speed on Ms. PacMan or something that's missing, Like, could the development team go in there and add that pixel perfect
Right.
as well? Pixel perfect, I think, should be standard on everything.
Agree.
If the original monitor that they're using is not perfect to the game ROM, give you the option for pixel perfect and give you the option to stretch. Some
Agreed.
people will want it one way, some people will want it the other.
Yep. How do you deal with the potential of doing a monthly show about communication if they don't want to share certain info? So, great question, Red Sea. So the way I'm combating this is, for the most important of questions, I'm going to meet with Arcade1UP beforehand, because the last thing I want is to be on a live stream, ask questions, and then get non-answers. So the questions that hopefully you will see me ask that are not from the chat will definitely have answers, because anything that's a non-answer, I just don't even want to bring up. I may say, I tried to ask a question about this, was not given a satisfactory answer, so I have to move on. I might do that. But again, it's all about facts to me. So I'm going to try to get as much of that stuff done ahead of time, so you don't, as a viewer, have to waste your time, because I'm not trying to waste anyone's time. I'm trying to get answers. There you go.
Will Arcade1UP release an update for the Big Blue to disable the mystery mod for input lag to put everything back to an? I thought they did that.
They
did. That's
no.
On KI.
So, well, no, it was on X-Men versus Street Fighter and stuff. So
that's it.
They came up with an input latency fix on some of the other X versus things when MVC2 had that same fix. It's an interesting question. Would you want to disable that? I think the problem with these kind of community-made mods is, if a dev is not aware of them and they put out an update, it could potentially like break your system or do something really harmful. From what I understand, Mr. Encoder and them are pretty good about making changes that won't do that, but you are putting yourself at risk when you decide to do that. So again, it still kind of goes back to the question I'm already going to ask: are older machines getting updates? If so, which ones?
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, Arcade1UP should, and they've done this before, and that's the main point, right? They were aware of community modifications. They actually, Arcade1UP developers, the contracting company that does the development, has worked with Mystery Encoder, or one of the developers on there, and they said, hey, we got a lot of people that have done these hacks, these mods, and some of those were integrated directly in the firmware, and that firmware update acknowledged the mod, right? Like it knew that it may already be patched with it, right? And it disabled it and then enabled the latest version, right? So I wonder if the outcome that, because he mentions this, put everyone back on an even playing field. The downside of the community mods is that there's some people that have it and some people that don't.
Exactly right.
And what would be much better is Arcade1UP just natively, whatever, in the firmware update, they're like, hey, you got to be on version 1.1 now. And you can't play anyone on version 1.0. Like, everyone update, and everyone's on the even playing field. And by the way, we totally, integrated the input lag fixes. I think that's the outcome we want, right? We want no lag, and we want everyone on an even playing field.
Yep, we'll see.
I have Facebook social media, but I stay away from it unless necessary. So I want to support a suggestion. Yeah, we have this one written down. There's now more than one person that wants an official forum on Arcade1UP. That's not necessarily a social media way to communicate.
So we've answered this. That's we've actually already answered this. Good catch, though. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Expect it to be the same version as the 2019 version, except for a coin door now, and the artwork is updated. Expect the shape to be the exact same. The mold, the measurements to be the same.
Yep.
Can proper sit-down drivers be considered for pro models? Lots of people will pay $1,000 if the seat is done right.
Let's throw that down, because I think some people would pay $1,000 for a real pro Daytona. Let's put that down as
Daytona.
100% would ask that question.
Okay,
I mean, am I wrong? Or people not pay $1,000 for a Daytona Pro, like a legit?
Okay, so if you'll pay $1,000 for a pro Daytona, would you pay $1,000 for a pro Star Wars?
Personally, me, no, because I think it's so close. But Daytona is different because it's a rate for me. Like,
I see
sit downs.
Yeah, you'll pay extra because of the extra sit down or Hydro Thunder, right?
I don't care about hydro. Can you imagine? I used to work in an arcade when all those games were big. Can you imagine the ones, like the jet ski games and stuff where they were up and down? Can you imagine them selling those? Oh my gosh.
This is I've heard many people, I'm gonna write this one down.
Yeah.
I checked mine's still fine.
So
I
this
don't know.
happened to me on my Tron. My
Okay.
spinner on my Tron, the encoder died, and they replaced it.
Yeah,
which is
but
not ideal.
but I've heard a lot of people say that they have got the replacement and now they're
It's
out
awesome.
of replacements
Oof.
and they still break.
Let's
So
talk
the
about it.
replacements break.
Put it on there. What happens when replacements break? Let's put it on there. Great
Okay,
question.
synthesis encoders keep breaking, and there's no.
Yeah, what happens when replacements run out? Is really the question. But yeah, that's
Really, I mean, there
Yeah.
should be some data on the back end where like, hey, we keep on shipping a lot of Tempest encoders. Something's going wrong, right? And then they're
Yeah.
like, hey, we should look at the design and try to figure out what's going on.
I
Maybe
think
they are
there's
doing that. I
process
don't know.
improvement from that they should consider.
Okay.
Save state of locking here.
We got 10 more in my list.
Yeah.
Did they ever fix the UMK3 where you could save the state, unlock hidden characters when power psyching MK cabs, Gen 1 models could save this? Not the new version that I know
So
of.
it goes back. So this is not MK30. This is UMK3. This again goes back, and I'm so glad that the one question is encompassing so much of this is which of the old games, if any, will be getting updates, or is that something we're going to see? Because if that answer becomes yes, then we take all of these and go, okay, Arcade1UP, here they are. So the question that on the show will be, will older games get fixed? I can't go through every single game because it'll be there all day doing that. But if the answer to that is yes, which I think it might be, then we can go, here's all the things the community said. By the way, use the Facebook group if you're on Facebook and let them know, because they're going to be paying attention to that. And we'll see.
Okay, very good. Let's see. The re-release Star Wars cabinet that the guy is playing on their Facebook page today looks different than the one was in John's office.
That's because that's not it's because it's the old 2019 stock. That's why.
Right.
It's not it's not a re-release, so to say.
Yeah, I can totally understand from the community's point of view, and I've been following it pretty closely, that everyone knew the Star Wars re-release was imminent, and then all of a sudden Best Buy came out with new Star Wars, and they're like, oh, that's the new re-release. I don't know. I have theories. They haven't been verified. My personal theory is Best Buy knows about the Star Wars re-release because they went, Arcade1UP said, hey, you want to buy the new Star Wars cabinet? They're like, no, thank you. Okay, fine, we'll just do it direct. This is all theory for me. And then Best Buy is like, we do have a couple hundred though. They're like, we should totally like put them out there because they'll sell. And then Arcade1UP's like, well, we can't tell a retailer not to sell something.
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything more to it. But I think on the show, John D did mention, he said there's some still existing 2019 that will be available. And I think there's still some more, like 100 or...
Yeah, there's about 100 definitely something of the 2019 version that Arcade1UP will be selling in a couple of months that are just basically old stock that they're just going to clear out. So if you miss this re-release, which honestly, if you're listening to this video today, tomorrow, even 2 or 3 days from now, you probably still will be able to get it through Shop Hippo or whatever they decide to do. But if you miss that, there will be at least one more chance to get the 2019 version. I don't know at what price. That's the question, since Arcade1UP is selling it. So I do want to talk about KI Pro. I have a lot of questions about KI Pro. That's 100% being asked. Not just this, but other things about KI Pro. 100% being asked.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you'll write that one down, right? For like what?
I mean, it's already written down. I have so many questions about KI Pro. It's not even funny.
Okay. Info on countercades. So there is a new set of countercades that are coming out. What we've seen are 1-player versions of 2-player games. So Mortal Kombat, that was at CES. We've seen pictures of Street Fighter now. It's a new style. It's kind of like I don't know, just shaped differently, and it's pretty cool shaped. But it's a single player, and I'm really curious. My understanding is the sticks that we saw in last year's model of like the Yoga Flame is them tweaking the standard stick that's in all of Arcade1UPs. The question is, will we see that tweaking, that better stick on even the countercade, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. That's something I kind of regret. While I was at CES, I had access to the Mortal Kombat, but it was still in box, and I would love to have been able to just like open it up, get the Mortal Kombat, test the joystick, but I didn't do that. I didn't think of it till after the
Zohar did. The drop test with it.
Would like them to give us dates for the year of re-release. They don't need to say what's coming out, but it would be nice if they had specific dates that we know something will be revealed.
At this point, they may have a general like Q1, Q2, we might release 3, and I would push for that. I'd be like, can you at least say if you're going to release 3 video games in Q3? But the thing is, they're going to be wrong, because if you look at the GameFly leak from last year, if those were all true, a lot of them didn't come out. So
I don't know about a lot of them. A lot of them did, but Time Crisis didn't.
Yeah, but there were some other ones I think on there too. Yeah, was that the only one that didn't come out?
Yeah.
Well, that would have been a big one, because a lot of people were waiting for that. So if they had put that out, imagine how upset people would. Maybe people still are upset.
Yeah, I think some people are.
It'd be worse.
And some people thought the Time Crisis was today's release, because it was like, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are also confused why the Star Wars re-release wasn't a CES announcement.
It's a good question. It was only a couple weeks ago.
I do know the answer to that one.
You do? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's logic. In the community, people say this all the time, but I don't think I've heard someone connect the dots. CES is all about showing retailers what they could buy. This cabinet was not available to retailers. True. Shop Hippo is like a close partner with Arcade1UP. Yeah. They're not like really a retailer. They're like, I understand, like the owner of that company and Scott are like buddies. Like, so Shop Hippo is a very close retailer. Yeah. It's not selling like to a Walmart. And so if you're going to announce at CES time the Star Wars, that's, now you're going to have articles on CNET. You're going to have articles that are, those articles were intended to announce cabinets that are going to be available at Walmart and Best Buy and GameStop. But the Star Wars re-release is it's just an Arcade1UP.com and a partnership with the Shop Hippo. So they put out the CES announcements, and then a couple weeks later they did the Star Wars. And it, from a consumer, kind of sucks. They're like, because we just want to see like a big announcement, right, at CES, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're getting through this list. I think the majority is done with Bit Games. Is there any move towards
like 2D games? Yeah. So that has as much to do with the technology and kind of emulate. They've already done it. So like Ridge Racer, which is a System 22 game. The next kind of thing would either be like a System 2 for Sega, or like a System 11 or System 12, like for Tekken or Tekken 3 or something like that, which is what I'm pushing for. Like John D, I'm texting him every week. Tekken, get me Tekken and Soul Calibur on the same machine, please. Every week. So as soon as that's something that makes sense, I'm positive they'll do it, because here's the thing: they're a business. If they want to make money, they got to sell what people want.
Yeah, I think most people understand that in the community, but not 100% that it's like. Anyway, so let's see. Got that one. This is true. This year's less new titles, more getting it right.
I think this is the key. I think this is actually it, by the way. I'm probably going to ask this as well. I think that you're going to see less titles released this year, and more of trying to fix either A, some of the older titles, or B, hopefully tightening everything up so that some of the things that happened in 2022 don't happen again. Now, here's the thing: at this point, they probably shouldn't have happened in 2022. So, can you believe that? I don't know, but that's my thought. What do you think, Justin?
I think what you're saying is accurate. Whether or not it'll happen is another question. But I think we're dealing with a situation where I've seen some comments on my channel where people are, I've stated things like, hey, with the economy, and then there's some people are like, disagree that there's any problem with the economy, and saying terrible. That, we're not heading towards a recession. And then they quote all of these like, could be, whatever. I think Arcade1UP had their high sales a few years ago, and they're not having the opportunity that they did a year or two ago.
There are people that are not buying things that they were buying a year ago because there is some uncertainty. That's the truth.
Whether or not there's actually a problem, I think the result is the same, and that's the point.
Yep.
And so if you were a company that's trying to, stay afloat, stay in business, and, pumping out 50 PacMans doesn't work anymore,
then you're in trouble. But I mean, Star Wars is a slam dunk. Like, why wouldn't you re-release that? People wanted it. There's scalping going on. Like,
yeah. So the point is where you're like, hey, we have to be very thoughtful about everything we do at this point. We have to be very thoughtful about the title we choose, very thoughtful about whether it'll sell through, whether it's a good title, whether it's value, whether it's quality, whether it's giving the customer what they want or not. We have to be very thoughtful about each one of those things because every sell really matters. Because a couple of years ago, where it was pretty easy to move these cabinets because of all of the reasons why things were doing well, things are more of a struggle.
Yep.
So a company shifting to a different format where they're like, we're going to try to hook you guys up, guys. We love you. We love you guys. I think that's them just dealing with reality.
Yeah. 100%.
So what would you want them to do? Screw us over more and more every month? Or would you want them to try to deliver value?
To be clear, like, for people who think that Pac-Man isn't selling and Star Wars isn't selling, they're making it because it does. If it didn't sell, they wouldn't make it. It's just business common sense. Just because you're not buying it anymore doesn't mean other people aren't. It is what it is.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think some people already have Star Wars. So I think the best comment that I've seen from a lot of people, if you already own Star Wars and you're really upset that your favorite title didn't come out, you can be upset, or you could also be happy for the people that missed the opportunity to get Star Wars, and now they can enjoy the same joy that you have, your Star Wars cabinet. Let them have their day. Let them get their favorite cabinet.
This is a great day for a lot of people. Because you know what, by the way, Justin, a lot of people who are buying today weren't even aware of a 2019 release of Star Wars. Probably weren't even aware of Arcade1UP in 2019.
That's right.
But there's such a bubble around people on YouTube that watch all the videos every day. They think that everyone who buys Arcade1UP is just like them. No. There are tons of people that are brand new to this community that literally had no idea this thing existed 2 years ago and missed out on Star Wars altogether. And now we're like, yes, I finally got it. You should be happy for them, man. What a cool thing. Whether you want it or like it, who cares, bro? Like, the community gets better when we're like cheering for each other.
That's right. So we got a couple super chats here. We'll try to, I don't know. Are you cool with a 2-hour show?
We're
about 12 or 13 minutes left.
Yeah, let's do it.
MK is so bad on Mortal Kombat 30. Hit one on Bubbles leaderboard.
Console Fanboy is crazy on that cab. He doesn't just play MK on it, which is kind of surprising. He actually plays other games.
Let's see. Will they add more stock of the Star Wars stool?
Great question.
Now, we'll ask that. We'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
There was another one. Some people got like, what was it? There was another company that was selling stools that were Star Wars licensed, and it had just like Boba Fett's helmet on it. And I think they were less expensive. So look out there for, so there's Arcade1UP branded Star Wars stools, and then there's stools that are Star Wars branded, but not Arcade1UP. Those are opportunities. I don't know if they're still available.
Look at this. People in chat. I'm that guy. I'm in that camp. They exist. They're here in our chat. They didn't know this thing existed 2 years ago. Be happy for them.
There you go. So Star Wars riser, or no, Star Wars stool. Okay, very good. So what I'd like to do, let's get to know Travis a little bit. If you guys have any more questions in the chat while Travis is talking, I'll try to star them, and we'll, if there's any questions that we've missed, we'll try to cover them in the last bit of the stream. Let's see. Zohar is complaining about a super chat that I didn't read, but I thought I read them all. So there's this one. MK is so bad. We read that one. And scrolling up. Let's see. Here we go. Guess what? I just spoke with Uncaged Games on Twitch. He's going to share the video I did about him. Free MK4 is guaranteed to get 3,000 signatures this week. He's a huge YouTuber. You're welcome, MK fam.
So, I mean, I am going to ask, and I've already talked about this. I am going to ask about the free MK4 movement, and we're going to see what is obviously what they know about it. They're fully aware of it. And is the petition any more of a needle mover anymore, or is there something else that has happened? My guess is that the petition brings it to kind of their radar, and then they have to dig deep and find out, are people actually going to buy this? So I want to know from them, now that this thing has hit enough people on the signatures, there's at least some sort of interest in it. What is your next step? Because obviously the thing is, it's probably not being made at this moment, but let's say they started tomorrow, Justin. Let's say they were like, okay, we're going to do this tomorrow. Now, this thing ain't coming out until, if they started tomorrow, it's not coming out until next year, guaranteed, earliest. So I personally, I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to ask. We'll see.
Unless they've been working on MK4 for the last 2 years.
Trust me, they ain't doing that, dude. That's not.
All right, for those who just joined or were in late the show, I'm here with Travis MCP, the new official Arcade1UP ambassador. No. So what can we expect on the new February 3rd show? And maybe what is your favorite movie? And what is your favorite video game?
Okay, that's pretty good. So the show that I agreed to is because, again, I was pitched something else that I told them I didn't want. I kind of pitched an idea to be able to ask questions that people want to know from the community, and they said yes. Now, which of those questions they will elect to answer, I can't force them to do anything. I don't work for Arcade1UP. I have no connection with them in any kind of employment where there's nothing about that. I'm literally just a community member who's out there trying to get answers for the community. So I'm going to ask questions that I've already seen that all of you are asking. When is MVC2 online coming on? What about free MK? What about the monitors? What about old game? Like all these questions that we've been talking about, going to ask the question to DMAC, David McIntosh, who, if you've seen him around, he's that dude. So we're going to try to get some answers. Beyond that, what are my favorite movie? I don't know. I really liked, well, I love the Equalizer. That was such a badass movie.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington. Not Denzel. Yeah, Denzel. And favorite game, Tekken Tag Tournament, baby. And I'm going to be freeing Tekken Tag Tournament left, right, and center.
That's your free movement?
That is my free movement. Free Tekken Tag Tournament.
Yeah. So Console Fanboy with a super chat. He says this is his new thing. He's kind of pivoted his speech. Keep in mind, he's a YouTuber that his entire channel is dedicated for this free MK4 movement. And it's not, he's a completionist, right? Like it's not about whether MK4 is a good game or not. It's all about owning MK1, 2, 3, and 4 cabinets.
So does that mean that they don't need to spend the extra money to do multiplayer since you're not going to play it? That's the thing. These are questions people don't think about. If you're just having it to collect, all it needs to do is start up and turn on. It does not need multiplayer, which would save a lot of money, which actually would make it more likely to be made. However, if you're going to buy it, you're going to want online multiplayer. So you can't have it both ways. You got to say, yes, I want it. I want to play online. I want to do all that stuff.
No, Travis, see, Console Fanboy is really smart. He knows they're not coming out with MK4 anytime soon, which means he has content to make for the next 3 years.
This is true. He does.
He's just like endless content for the next 3 years. Every single video is going to be, and then finally one day it will come.
It will come, and then he will return.
And then that season will be over.
And then he'll make a video about it, and then he'll return it.
All right. So those in the chat, if you have any questions for Travis, I'd love to hear. Just start your question with a question mark. If there's any final questions, we have a couple more minutes before we're going to end the show. So February 3rd, you're going to do the 1UP dates, and you'll try to do some of them. It's going to be live. Some of it's going to be possibly pre-recorded.
Okay. I don't know why we would do some recording, some live. The next one's live, so I don't know.
Okay. Jake says Tubin Cab. Am I the only one that wants it? Hit one in the chat if you want a Tubin Cab.
I know. I think P-Dubs does, right? Doesn't he like Tubin?
I know. In Arizona there was a Tubin real cabinet available, and that thing is so unique looking, like the original Tubin Cab. It's I don't know. Like if it was available in my area for buy, like the original one.
Yeah.
The game, it's kind of weird. It's just the uniqueness of some of the cabinets, the way they look and the shape, can be just as good as how awesome the game is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Tubin has a really cool shape. Let's see. We got a couple questions coming in from David. He says, just wondering, does anyone know why the cabinets are small and short as an arcade machine?
You know, 3/4?
Is it cost effective? Just wondering. Yeah. So if you don't know, it's all about what you can fit in a 48-inch box. And so Arcade1UP, it's weight and size. So most of their cabinets are 4-foot box by 1 foot by 2 foot. So those are the dimensions, and those and then the weight is about under 100 pounds. And they can go a little bit above 100 pounds, but if you break that 48-inch, or I think there's a little bit of cushion, but there's a point where all of a sudden the shipping cost goes really high, both from a container and both from domestic shipping. And so a lot of their cabinets, like the XL version or even the Deluxe, they have this extension cabinet, but it still stays in that 48-inch box. It just gets wider.
So Jay Brown is talking about Killer Instinct, which is one of my main games. Love Killer Instinct. Loud buzz until turn off. Are you talking about Pro or 3/4? I think he might be talking about 3/4, in which case that's a hardware thing. And I know they were sending out board replacements, which I think fixes it. So check out support. If that doesn't fix it, then I'm not aware of what you're talking about, because I'm pretty sure if you tell customer service that you're having that, they actually are sending out the little board that fixes it. Last I heard, that was what it was.
Right. So I saw only one person talking about it. I don't know if it is
Pro.
Probably it's another person, but there's only 500 of these units, and some people are talking about you hold down to power off, right? Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to go into a boot sequence, and it seems like it gets stuck.
You talking about Pro?
The Pro. Is it what we're talking about? Or is it the original?
They have different issues. And again, I have a whole line of questioning about the Pro. I have a whole line of questioning about the KI Pro.
Okay.
So it's hard to know. If he's talking about 3/4, that's a different thing. If he's talking about Pro, it's whatever.
What are the chances of a midway racer like Hydro Thunder or the off-road Arctic, etc.? Well, it's real simple, right? They've done racers, they've done midway. You know that Constorm. Mr. Constorm, who makes content and knows the rules makes videos that explains the rules of how Arcade1UP, the rules are, can they do the publisher? Can they do the format? Can they do the emulation? If they can, then it's possible. Then the next question is, does the audience want it? Does the community want it? If the community wants, can it sell through?
Yep.
If all those are true, they're going to do it. You 100%. Know that.
100%.
He just wants to be heard.
My dude, Nooner. He's local to me. So Burger Master, I don't, this is terrible because Dick's is a local burger place. So if I say I like Dick's, it's over for me. It's good burger though. Burger Master's okay. You know, Nooner. You know the answer to this, my friend. Dick's Deluxe, baby. Let's go.
All right. We got a couple more comments here. We got ask for a dual stick cab.
Well, we already know what that means. Is this Michael B's alt account right here? Is this what this is? Because we know what this is about.
It's a good question. There was one where I just saw it. Not one-up related, but will there be a new MVSX? Just wondering. I don't know, man.
Oh, that's a good question. Didn't they lose the so I don't know a lot about this. I thought they lost the license to that. I will tell you one thing. If John D can get the license, Arcade1UP's going to have it for sure. And he has a pretty good relationship with a lot of these companies. So my guess is you will eventually see that. I don't know when, but I'd be surprised if you did.
Do you know anything about the KI speaker pop?
I know there's some issues about the speakers, and it's one of the things that, again, my thing is there are a lot of issues with the KI Pro. I bought it. It's right behind me. I was one of the people who was complaining about stuff. Thankfully, being in the beta test program, I was able to voice it to the right people. And I'm getting answers, man. I'm telling you, especially for that, because it was the first foray into spending $1,000 or something. And there's a level of trust that you're asking from your community that I think there were some missteps here. And I want to literally say, listen, you have to know that this was not a perfect launch. There were so many things that were not good. So we'll see. I'm definitely asking about it. If you guys have KI, I paid for it out of my own pocket. I felt the pain of it. Trust me, it's getting answered, or at least it's getting asked.
Thank you so much, Travis, for coming on the show. And thank you guys so much for coming and hang out in the chat. I wrote down a list of things that I'm going to send to Travis on our DM on Twitter. What I have listed here, and it didn't capture everything, but some of them were generalized and captured. Save local scores is something that was mentioned a few times. Big Blue, issues with save score. Official forum for Arcade1UP, a replacement coin door. Miss PacMan super speed update for cabs that didn't originally have it. Desyncing on some of the machines. Star Wars bench would be really nice, either like an add-on or its own SKU. What happened with Cuberk? Graphical issues on Yoga Flame. Big Blue input lag. Pro Daytona. Tempest encoder keeps breaking, and there's no stock of that encoder anymore. UMK3, which is of the old cabs, will it get an update? Because there seems to be a save state issue. Star Wars stool, MK4 movement, KI speaker, and other KI problems. I'm sure I tried my best. I tried to write down what I could.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Comment
100%.
after this video is over if I missed something.
Yeah. MVC static. Trust me, I've known about that for a while. I've been, surfacing that for a long time. I was surfacing it when other people didn't know about it. But it doesn't matter. Regardless, I just want to be very clear about one thing. I'm not here for people to like me or for people to.
That's good. We hate you already, so it's good.
Fine. I don't like you guys either.
I'm just teasing you, Travis.
No, I am too. I am literally here to get answers that you deserve as paying customers. You don't have to like me. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to do it. I don't care. The thing that matters in this show is not me. It's the answers. It's the facts. And that is what I'm going to obsess over for the next couple of weeks when we launch. That's what I'm going to obsess over when we get the questions. That's what I'm going to obsess over every single time we do one of these shows. Facts. That's all I care about. That's all. Thank you, Jay.
Hey, appreciate it. I know there's a few out there that do appreciate, like they understand we're community members as well, and we have access to the company, but when we do talk to them, we're begging, we're basically trying to speak for the community and be like, and I will say, there's sometimes I'll talk to John and he's like, yeah, I know, but
yeah,
there's a ton of times he's like, really? That's a thing? Like, yeah, dude, that's a thing. That's a huge thing.
Yep.
And they appreciate it. So I'm trying. I mean, what else are we gonna do? We want to help out the community, or we just close up shop. Anyway, thank you so much, Travis. I'm not going to tell anyone to go to your channel.
Please don't.
And subscribe to you, because I know that's not what you want. And if they do, all they're going to find is a whole bunch of videos on how you like cell phones. So
yeah, I don't know. Bob does ask a question where he shows being broadcast. They're going to be on the Arcade1UP YouTube channel. Arcade1UP, go over there. Arcade1UP official, subscribe. And yes, we know about that, Jason. We talked about it earlier in the live stream for sure.
Oh, I didn't write that one down. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I think no. I think it's because you were like, that's on my list already.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't write it down because it's on your list already.
How can I not give you a hard time after the hard time you gave?
Thank you, Jason M, for the donation. I appreciate it. I'll be back. When I can do it? It's Monday. I'll do a Wednesday night show, late night with console kits, community driven. We'll talk, we'll chat, we'll do some fun stuff. I took a break for a while. I'm ready to come back. I got a lot of stuff done in my basement that is just, man, it's been something.
Basement tour, please. Basement tour video. Love to watch it.
I'm a ways away from that. I spent $250 on noise canceling blankets that I'm going to put in the room. I'm only going to do it on this wall. And then if that goes well, I'm going to do it on this wall. Mm-hmm. And then I have room for about 4 pinball machines right over here. And guess what? Bad news. My first Stern pinball machine was going to be a Godzilla. And the dude locally was like, remember how I told you I would reserve a Godzilla pinball for you? They're all gone.
Oh!
Sad
that deserves
day.
A nut kick.
But that's okay. I got the Star Wars and I got the Attack from Mars Pinball 2000 machines that will be moved down to my basement. Got a spot for them. It's going to be beautiful. All right. Take care, guys. Appreciate it.